Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another English lesson. Today we will be talking about words that you will hear when you're drinking in a bar. So I'm going to call this bar English or simply bar talk. Don't get all excited, don't get all excited. But this lesson is basically for those of you who are 21 and over. So we go into the first word, your ID. Your identification. I'm going to need to check your ID because this class is for adults only. So, the guy who stands at the door, he's the bouncer or the security guard. You're going to need to show him your ID. Or maybe the bartender, the person serving the drinks, they're going to want to see your ID, your ID. You have to prove that you're 21 years or older to drink. Because here in the US, it's 21. You can go to war and die for your country, but no, you can't drink a beer. Well, not legally. So if you look like you're 30, they might let you in. It all depends on what you look like, but bring your ID because you might have to go back home and get another one. So we've got your identification to prove how old you are. You show it to the security or the bouncer. That's the guy at the door, making sure everything's cool. Nobody's fighting. Nobody's drunk. The bartender. It's going to be a guy or a girl. They serve you the drinks. They ask, well, hey, what do you want? Okay, great, got it. Cool. What they're going to ask you when you sit down is, do you want to open a tab or start a tab? That means you're going to put down your credit card and they'll keep the drinks coming. And then you will pay when you're done drinking when it's time to go home. Or you could pay cash. Now, here's the debate. If you pay cash every time a drink comes, you pay again. So either you're going to tip every time because you have to tip the bartender. They work for tips. Or you could just tip at the end and open the tab. Most people just open the tab with their credit card. So you're going to ask the bartender, well, hey, do you have any specials? What's the promotion, the special? They'll say, yeah, we got Bud Light drafts. They're on sale. They're $1.99. They're usually $3.99, but today they're $1.99. Other things you'll hear a lot of is happy hour. It's usually from 4 to 7 when people get off of work. They run specials. They'll have 2-for-1 drinks. 2 Heinekens for the price of 1. That's a way for them to get people into the bar so they can make money. Because if they're overpriced, people aren't coming in after work. After a long day of work, some people just want to drink. You will also ask them, what's on tap? A lot of the specials will be beers that is on tap. Well, what is on tap? That is a draft beer from a keg. They buy the big keg. It should be 32 degrees, right at the cusp of freezing. And they make most of their money off of the keg because a keg costs them, let's say $100 and they get a lot of beers, 220 some beers in a keg, I think. Well, how would I know? I don't even drink. So you have the keg on tap, which is a draft beer. It'll be served in a glass, usually a pint glass. A pint, if you're American, you probably don't know what a pint is. Let's say roughly 22 ounces. That's a pint glass. They're going to pour from the keg on draft in the pint glass, usually served chilled. Or they'll have a frozen mug. A mug has a handle on it. Here, I'll show you what a mug is. Now that we're talking, this is a mug. This could be considered a mug. It's usually a little bit bigger. Also, you're going to have a bottle. This is a bottle. This is a bottle of beer. It's 12 ounces. You can buy a beer. Someone would say, hey, give me a Dos Equis in a bottle. This is what they're talking about. If you wanted it on draft, you would get it out of the mug. So, other promotions. Okay, well, we have can. You rarely ever see somebody drinking beer out of a can in a bar. Maybe in a nightclub or something, they might have the big 22-ounce cans. Most bars aren't going to serve you a can. That's just weird. If you drink beer out of a can in a bar, you're weird. You're very weird. You have a pitcher. A lot of times a pitcher is it's like a mug, but it's big. They'll have a special, a promotion with the pitcher for the draft beer. A pitcher's a big pitcher. You'll probably get 6, maybe 5 or 6 beers out of it. And they might have a promotion for like $5. So in a bar, that's pretty cheap. About $1 a beer. Also, other promotions you'll see, specials, are a bucket. In a bucket, like they might have a bucket of 6 Coronas and they'll sell it for $10. That means you'll get 6 bottles of beer. They'll have a bucket, it'll be filled with ice, and they'll stick 6 beers in there, and that would be a bucket. Also, if you like liquor, you're going to hear this a lot. Do you want a shot? Do you want a shot? Or you say, hey bartender, give me a shot of Jägermeister. A shot. It's in a little shot glass. It's 1 serving of liquor. Now, how you order it, some people will say, give me a double of Jägermeister. That would mean you're going to get 2 shots. 2 shots of Jägermeister. And it's usually going to be a bigger glass. A shot glass is just this little small shot glass. Kind of like maybe a communion cup at church. Something like that. I hate to associate the two. Not good. A single, 1 shot. A double, 2 shots. Some other terms that you're going to hear in the bar are domestic, imported, and craft. Well, what are they talking about? They're talking about types of beer. A domestic beer is a beer from the country in which you're in. So if you were in Canada, a Labatt Blue, would be a domestic beer in Canada. Now that same Labatt Blue would be an imported beer in the United States because it switched countries. It was imported into the United States. Domestic beers in the U.S., Budweiser, Miller Lite, Coors Light. Imported beers that you'll see a lot of, Corona, Labatt Blue, St. Pauli's Girl, cool beers from other countries. Because America doesn't have too many good beers. Okay, so a craft beer, I would call a local beer. It's something brewed locally from a small brewery. It's very popular. I know Seattle, Washington, they have a huge craft beer scene. Here in Cleveland, Ohio, there's a huge craft beer scene. Everyone likes the Great Lakes, the Christmas Ale. I don't really understand it. But that's just my opinion. That's what it is. It's basically a local beer from a small brewery. Also, you have talking about liquor now. Someone say, hey, give me a scotch on the rocks. Well, what's that? That's scotch served on ice. The rocks, ice, get it? On the rocks. So when somebody orders a drink straight up, what they're talking about is, let's say it's a martini or it's a mixed drink, a screwdriver. They just strain it. They'll put it through ice and chill it and strain it. So it was not on the rocks, but it's chilled. It went through the ice, but the ice was strained out and discarded. That's straight up. Then you have dirty. You hear about dirty martinis all the time. That's just mixed with a lot of the brine from the olives. Like the bars, you see the olives there. It's got an olivey taste to it. That's a dirty martini. Most of the time, it refers to martinis. Also, you have a dry martini. A dry martini, you have what's called vermouth. It's not going to be sweet. They don't mix a lot of vermouth with it. So it's going to be dry. It's going to have a kick to it. It's like drinking tea without sugar. Do you see what I'm saying? That's kind of what they're talking about with a dry martini. Now, other terms you'll hear in the bar is another round. Do you want another round? Let's say I'm sitting at the bar drinking Pacifico with me and my friends, and the bartender says, hey, do you guys want another round? That means she's going to get me one, my friend one, and our other friend one. That's another round. Drinks all around. This is something totally different. That's when the guy in the bar says, hey, drinks all around, drinks all around. Well, he's buying everybody in the bar a drink. He must be having a good day. That's a fast way to go broke. Maybe he won the lottery. Doesn't happen very often, but sometimes there's that one drunk guy who buys drinks all around. On the house. Well, on the house means the bar is paying for it. That means you, the customer, are not going to pay for it. Let's say you got a dirty martini and it just wasn't dirty enough for you. So you give it back to the bartender. She makes another one and she gives you the other one and she says you can have the first one also. It's on the house. It means you don't have to pay for it. Or once in a blue moon, you will hear a bartender say, hey, here comes a round, drinks on the house. That means the bar is going to pay for the next round of drinks for the entire bar. It doesn't happen very often. Now, if we were sitting in a group and I said, hey, this happens a lot with females. They say, well, you want a drink? It's on me. That means she doesn't have to pay for it. That guy is paying for it. Or you see a friend and say, hey, get him a Budweiser. It's on me. It's on me. That means I'm paying for it, not him. I'm buying. Same thing. At the end of the night, let's say you open the tab. You're going to say to the bartender, well, hey, I'd like to pay the tab. That means I'm going to settle up. I'm going to pay for all the drinks that I've drank all night long, and I'm paying the tab. That means I'm going to write in your tip, and it's time to go. Another word you're going to need to know, drunk or intoxicated. That means you have had a lot to drink and maybe you can't stand up or your speech is slurred. You're drunk, you're intoxicated, and you shouldn't be driving. So you would ask the bartender if she could call a cab. Call a cab. Get a taxi here to drive me home. Okay, an Uber, whatever. I don't like Uber. I think they're a greedy corporation like Walmart, but with all that aside, call a cab, or you could request an Uber, something like that. Another term that you would like to know about the bar. I'm throwing this one in extra. Beer goggles. What are your beer goggles? Okay, they're not really glasses that you wear. People would say, hey man, that guy's got his beer goggles on. Well, what does that mean? Well, he's been drinking a lot. He sees a girl and she might be a buffalo. She might be a very ugly or maybe a big girl. And he's out there on the dance floor and you're looking at him like, what on earth does this guy see? Is he blind? Well, he's got his beer goggles on. He's wearing his beer goggles. To us, she's a buffalo. To him, he thinks he's dancing with Halle Berry. That's wearing your beer goggles. Don't wear your beer goggles. Don't wear your beer goggles. Thank you for checking out another English lesson. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, or dislike it. It doesn't matter. You watched it. You made it this far. Thank you. So next time you go to a bar, you'll know how to say things in English. But make sure you stay safe, but most importantly, stay thirsty, my friends.